again, live stream. Once again, Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom.
Actually, Shabbat Shalom Aleichem. Praise the Lord. Here we are again. We're back in Miami, or Florida, after an exhausting trip, a short trip to a state called Michigan, the 26th state that we learned on Friday. Some people didn't know that. That means I traveled between 26 and 27. Your sent me to 26 state as the first elder. The first one that went from the Temple of Love to that city in 1983. This spring. It was April of 1983. I went to Detroit. As amazing as it may seem, I arrived there on a Sunday. Of course, there was hardly anyone downtown Detroit. I walked down Jefferson Street. Hardly anyone down there. It was early. The bus must have gotten there like between 5 and 6 o'clock a.m. I'll never forget. There was hardly anyone down there. I started right away. Whoever I saw, passing the word. Had a briefcase on my back, yellow books inside the briefcase. At the time, a VCR, one of those big VCR machines. And actually, for the cassette tape, that big video cassette, VHS. They had the tape in my, with the machine that we had as elders to present to the people and show them of our nation. That's why I had books, the machine, no clothing, the robe on my back, staff in my hand, one robe, just as prophet said it would be. But whoever I came in contact with, I gave them the word. And some even called me Moses, walking down the street. First time I ever seen anything like that in Detroit. Actually from, as according to a black man, they saw it on the news or on movies from the Middle East, but not Detroit, Michigan. The 26th state to become one of the 50s of this government. Well, here we are, we're back today. So we're welcoming those who join us again today. Special day, because we have now returned to the state called Florida, the 27th state called Florida, here in the United States of America. For those who may be watching us live stream or even a recording, and speaking of recording, today is observed by this world's Gregorian calendar as Monday. Just for the record, still know when this is being recorded. Today is observed by this world's Gregorian calendar as Monday, September 13th, 2021, as in Monday the 13th. So what do they prefer, Friday the 13th or Monday the 13th? Good news or bad news? Well, it's all good news. It doesn't matter if it's a Monday or a Friday, a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, even a Sunday or Saturday. It doesn't matter. That 13 is here to haunt you. It's a 13 that you must worry of, not the day. It's a 13, a significant number, and a reason for that. And that 13, that's September 13th. Now don't forget, there's also as the 13th Hebrew alphabet of the Special Lodge, as well as the 13th Hebrew English alphabet. All right, they also have the 13th English alphabet, and both created M. Our 13 is Mem. That 13 was created from Mem that gives them M. Is that right? Okay. And this Hebrew alphabet of the Special Lodge, and also of England, English's alphabet, the 26th alphabet of that 26, the 13th Hebrew alphabet, the 13th English alphabet, our 13th Hebrew alphabet is of 22 Hebrew alphabets and 5 finals. And they snuck that in their 26. As this 13M is one of 26. See, we had our 22 plus 5 is 27. That means they're missing one. Right? Because they have 26, so they're missing one. How come we have 27 and they only have 26? There's something strange about that. Might be revealed today. Well, I might as well do it now. See, we have 27 because we have 2 witnesses. They only have 1. The I. They tried to make 2 by putting the tail on the J on another I, but they failed because that became their Jesus. That means Jesus is a failure. But our 2 witnesses will never fail. See, we have 2 I's, they have 1. So they stop at 26, we move on to 27, which will explain one of the reasons why the Christ was born on one of their 27 days of the calendar, the date, 27. That makes sense? Oh, absolutely. Not only that, it's the truth. So, therefore, they can never catch up with us. Never. And this date, D-A-T-E, this date, 13, is empowered with 13 of their Gregorian calendar. It just so happens to coincide with what this day, D-A-Y, of our solar calendar, what that empowers as one of 3 high holy days of our celestial law that are to be observed this month. So I ask you again, as I asked you before we came on live stream, those who are around me here in Miami, Florida, here at the round table in Brownsville, in a house. What day is it again?
The first day of the 7th month.
It's the first day of the 7th month. That's not what I asked you. That's why you're still saying the first day of the 7th month. You just gave me the date, not the day. I asked you what the day is, and you gave me the date. The first date of the 7th month of our calendar. The first day of the 7th month of our solar's calendar, which is Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh's calendar. Now, right now, according to you, not you, according to you, because you're lost. We are right now in the middle of the first day of the 7th month that presents the true. See, this first day of the 7th month, according to your date, this day represents the true. It presents the true, T-R-U, gospel. It presents the true, T-R-U, gospel, G-O-S-P-E-L, of the kingdom. Did you hear it? Okay, let me repeat that again. I said, we are in the middle of the first day of the 7th month that presents the true, T-R-U, true, without the E, that were left in the East during these last days. You hear that time? That E that they put at the end of the U, there's 2 vowels, the U and the E, to bring about the support of the TR, the TRU, E, right? For their true. But our true is TRU. We're looking for the homophone, the pronunciation, TRU, true. If I say it in a conversation, is that true? You don't know if I'm spelling T-R-U-E or T-R-U. It's still the same thing. It's the homophone pronounced, right? So is that true? with true. T-R-U or T-R-U-E. We can't use the T-R-U-E because the E is in the east. We left in the east with Shin. Here we are now in the west. You're going to find out in a few moments how significant that is for you and how it affects you today. Today. Not the date. Today. Of this true gospel. Today. Without the E that was left in the east. During these last days. As I'm now preaching this true gospel. This T-R-U gospel. Did you hear it? Okay, I repeat. I am now preaching this gospel of the kingdom that was promised to be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations. And then shall the end come. Read that, please. Turn to Matthew. Speaking of reading, you should have your study tools. As a reminder, please grab your King James Version Holy Bible if you're going to join us for a little while on this Monday. Some are home, probably unemployed, not working. So while you're not working, you might as well study. We came to help you with your study. We're not going to study for you. We came to assist you with your study. And opposed to watching television, you should study with us as we help you. It's nothing on television anyway, unless you're watching the news. That way you can keep up with what's going on at the end of the world. So grab your King James Version Holy Bible, your Strong's Exhaustive Concordance, your Unabridged Dictionary, Collegiate Dictionary or two, your Synonym Finder by Jerome Rodale. If you have a set of encyclopedias, you can have them handy. You may want to look up some history that we may share. And most importantly, something to write with. Take notes, something to write on. Take notes, please. Take notes. But the most important tool that you should have right now, because we turn to Matthew chapter 24. And I'd like for you to read verse 14, please.
Matthew chapter 24, verse 14.
Mm-hmm.
Quote, "And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come." End quote.
Did you ever see that before? The very last sentence says, "And then shall the end come." And yet this is only verse 14. You would think this would be more proper to place at the end of this chapter, this verse, opposed to right in the beginning, 14. Am I right? Because how many verses does it have in total? Chapter 14. Stroll down, look at it.
Total of 51 verses.
51 verses. That's 50. Plus 1. I don't know if it's coincidence or not, but we happen to be on 51st Street. Is that a coincidence? Where this gospel is being preached from for a witness, that must mean this witness must be on 51st Street in a certain city. Where Yoli Welfare first came to in 1979. That's for the brown skin complexion people of a suburb in Miami called Brownsville. But here we are. And verse 14 is speaking of the end. Yet we have many verses to go. Don't we? I mean, we have like 37 more verses to go. If my math is correct. Is that right? 37 more plus 14. It's 51. So why would they put 14 right here and speak of the end? Segmented. Nevertheless, this is the end that has come to only this world, not the planet. This is the end that has come to only this world, their world. And this is the gospel that was promised to come. See, this gospel is not the same as the world's gospel. And this gospel, the word, is not the same as their word, gospel. That is of their idiom. And that is spelled, see, their gospel of their world, of their gospels, is spelled from left to right. Gospel. Right? No, see, that's not our gospel. See, our gospel, we who are the two witnesses, our gospel goes from right to left. So that means the two witnesses left a Hebrew word in codex. The two witnesses left a Hebrew codex word on the scrolls that would cause the Englishists and the Greek theologians of this world, that when those particular Hebrew scrolls fell into their hands and they had to translate them and then transliterate them. See, translate is verbal translate. The transliterate is write it in transliteration. So I left my soul. There ain't no sense of pulling the punches. It don't make sense to beat around the bush. My celestial soul left in Hebraic, a codex word in Hebraic that when it translated either in Greek or English, it will leave Gospel. It will become codex as a revelation to be revealed. That's what the theologians came across in transliteration. And that Hebrew word, it caused the English theologians of the world to create an English word that would then create 4 of their English's consonants. And they're known from left to right, see, from left to right, actually from left to right as GS, P, and L. From left to right, GS, P, and L. Now you should be taking notes. You're going to need this. I repeat, I left in Hebraic a codex, Hebrew word, that when translated as you see today in English, it created, actually a codex word in Hebrew was from right to left. From right to left. So the English had to come along and create the transliteration that caused them to go from left to right. From left to right. And that created GOS, GSP, and L, and the English consonant without the vowels. So that caused them to leave G, S, P, and L. And it also caused them to add, for pronunciation, one of their 5 vowels, one of their 5 vowels, which is the E. And the E, that represents the East. That means this particular gospel originated and it was orchestrated by Pendraft in the East. That's where we originated their word from. The East. Their word, known as true. True. In the East. See, true ends with East. E. True, their word, tree, or true, that goes from right to left. Right to left. From right to left. It's True. Right? True. And we left that in the Middle East. But it originated from a Hebrew word that I wrote, pen drafted, from right to left. Opposite. Opposite. But what they used were their vowels two of them they thought were 2 vowels. We left that in the East, and what they use today as a vowel as O is truly a symbol. That's why it's only 1 vowel, the E. The O, that O is not a vowel, it's a symbol. It's truly a symbol of 360 degrees that represents the number of days in each of our solar years. That would become part of another verse of the same chapter to shorten those days back from 365 to 360. That's one of our solar years. And that would also become part of what shall be preached in all the world unto all nations. Now those nations are only 12. 12 nations. And those 12 nations come from one world. It's Israel. See, Israel is a world. And all these nations are worlds, and they were framed by Yehovah. They were framed. You can find that in Hebrews chapter 13. All the worlds were framed by Yehovah. So I mean, all nations is actually a world of their own. So we have 12 nations that become a world. And that's only who this gospel is being preached to, that world. Now the other 191 nations or worlds, they're welcome to listen, but it doesn't pertain to them. Because this world, this gospel that's being preached to this world is not coming to an end. See, if you look at that again, there's a semicolon next to nations. Isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah, and then shall the end come. But the end shall come to the other worlds, not that nation, not the 12 nations. Are you with me so far? Don't get lost now. Okay, just remember, E is a vowel, but the O is not a vowel. O, remember, O is a symbol that signifies 360 degrees that represents the number of days in each of our calendar years that would become part of what shall be preached in all the world unto all nations. In all the world into all nations. See, in all the world, not the planet, that's world, right there. Unto all nations of the world, 12. Now, those 365 days of their calendar would be shortened back to 360 days for their witness, that same witness. That's in verse 14 of Matthew chapter 24. And the proof of that shortening of the days is in verse 22. Read that too, please. I believe it's 22. Read that, please.
Verse 22, Matthew 24:22, quote, "And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened."
Now the elect, this is good news that you didn't know before. The elect are those 12 nations. Not just, many are called but few chosen. The elect is already elected. They were elected when the angel told Yaakov what to tell his 12 sons. They were elected. They were elected when his name was changed from Yaakov to Yishva Yahweh. The elect's sake. Now, this gospel is to be preached to only the elect. And all the elect is all 12 nations of the world of Israel. That means they are being invited to come. They also are invited for everlasting life. But the only way to get that is to believe in the Son of Yehovah.
Right.
That's why Yehovah gave his only begotten Son. That whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. Not live forever. You're already living forever. You were placed on this earth, on this planet right now, forever. But you have to know what ever is, and I'm going to go over ever in a minute. Because ever is for someone. You are forever. But now in order to be here forever, you've been invited to have everlasting life. It's not the same. You got it? Okay. But you also must bear witness of the witness who come to preach this gospel to the nations, 12 nations of the world. Now, those 365 days that we just read that are shortened back to 360 of their calendar, of course, will be shortened back to 360 days for that witness, as I mentioned, and that's one of the two witnesses. It says two witnesses, but only for one witness. You follow me? You got to follow this now. There are two witnesses, but the days are to be shortened for only one witness, not both witnesses. Because one witness has something to do and the other witness have something to do. Each witness have their own assignment. There's only one. One witness of the two. But which one? So you don't know which one of the two that the days were shortened for. Although both took part in shortening the days, As both took part in the shortening of the days, one witness said to the other witness, I'll see you later. Now you take over. And I'll see you later. Look in the mirror. But you don't know which one. Do you? You're not going to know which one until I tell you. I mean, you can sleep on this. My arm can give this planet forever to live. And they will never know which one of the witnesses is. Until I tell you. See, that way you'll know I'm the Christ. Because only he can tell you which witness. Come on now, don't be like that. You got to agree. Don't be like that. Even if you're watching live stream, you have to agree unless you can tell me. Now, if you can tell me which witness it is, then leave a comment. Now, if I'm not reading the comments, somebody can look and read it for me. If anybody write down which witness it is, we're going to close the shop and leave. Oh, we got to go. We're in the wrong place. Get back on the spaceship and take off out of here. We got to get out of here. We got to go. We got to go. Because somebody knows. Somebody else other than the Christ knows which witness it is of the two that these days were shortened for. Because if not, then what? No flesh will be saved?
No flesh.
Why? Because one of those witnesses have to go to a flesh to be saved for the other witness who don't speak a certain language. That means the witness that this was shortened for was a witness that speaks English. Because the other witness speaks Hebrew. See, the witness that would be speaking English, as the other witness was speaking Hebrew. So the witness that it was shortened for was a witness that speaks English, because there's some elect that come from Judah, of one of those 12 nations that don't speak Hebrew anymore. So that witness had to come and be with that witness, that nation that speaks English. Well, no flesh should be saved. Who speaks English today? Of Judah. Excuse me? I pray that makes sense. I mean, why? Because Judah would be speaking English. But Judah would be speaking both, though. Judah would be speaking both, especially after forgetting how to speak their native tongue. Now they got to be taught how to speak their native tongue again. In the meantime, I got to speak to them in English. This means that this gospel being preached would be spoken and have to be broken. It would be spoken and have to be broken of a certain kin.
Wow.
Yeah. You know, as in broken, spoken, with the O in the middle of the kin. Right? The SP and the BR. You got BROKEN, you have SPOKEN. Right? Spoken, broken. But it's all for the kin. As a BR is for bringing the kin. Bring them back. Right? And SP is for special. It's a special kin to bring back from the O for spoken and broken. So it's got to be broken down for Judah. This gospel had to be broken down for Judah, or Judah not be able to comprehend it. And as it's broken down for Judah, it's got to be broken down into precepts that will come from Genesis and go all the way to Revelation. That way you will go to and fro. So you would go to and fro. You can go to and fro or fro and to. But you got to come fro to get the to, because they got it from left to right. Yeah, they got it from left. They got it from left to right. So because they have it from left to right, we got to start at Genesis and go to Revelation. And then knowledge will be increased. But we got to break it down to precepts. That means that even Revelation must be broken down. See, Revelation would be broken down into a precept to explain the revelation that was preserved for the first day of the 7th month. There's also a memorial of blowing of trumpets. See, that's what I asked you. I asked you what the day is. You gave me the date. I don't need to know. I know what the date is. I want to know if you know what the day is. He said Shabbat Shalom. And you still said the first day of the 7th month as if you tried to teach me something. Excuse me, is that what you told? You teaching me what? You teaching me what the date is? I'm the one who shortened the days? I beg to differ. I thought I was your Huckleberry. So why are you teaching me what the date is? Oh, I got to have fun with you and my toys. You and my toys. My Ob gave you to me to play with. And I play with you. That's why I have a sport. You read the book, and that's the only place sport is found in the Bible, the book called Judges with Samson. He was a sport. They think sport happened yesterday in the NFL playing football. They thought that was a sport. That's not a sport. That's a game. They played a game with your mind. And they got game in the Bible, that means hunting. That means they hunting your mind with a sport, but you think it's a sport, it's a game. Tearing your mind up. Mentally and spiritually, as the fellas out there doing it, I tear their minds up physically. They call it concussions. I guarantee you a few of them yesterday were hurt. And maybe a few had concussions. Helmet to helmet. And then they give you, they throw the sun out there at you. They throw the sun on the field to let you know it's not right. It's not right to do that. So they throw the sun up at you in your face. You still, and tell you it's not right, and they still do it. They call it a yellow flag. What color do you think the sun is? They throw a yellow flag. It's not right. So they penalize your mind, tear it up, cause a concussion. You think it's fun? Go out there, I saw they go out there drinking beer. I saw it. Drinking beer and clapping for their team and dancing. Next thing you know, the team lost. They go down with the head down at the stadium. I lost $50,000 in that damn game. 50,000. Oh, that's the men who got money. Give me 50,000 on Philadelphia. Give me 20 on the Raiders, or the Patriots, or the Lions, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, Detroit. It's amazing how I'm sitting to Detroit, and the football team of the NFL football team, the mascot is a lion. Isn't that something? And yet we fly all over the country. Sometimes we take the eagle that's in Philadelphia. The Eagles. Even as I'm here teaching, I'm preaching of the Redskins in Washington. Excuse me? Say the Red Horse. No wonder they want to change the name. Good. It's prophecy. It's all prophetical. Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
Nevertheless, don't make a mistake. This is now the first day. This is a memorial of blowing of trumpets. Not the first day of the 7th month. It's a memorial of blowing trumpets today. What? That all of Israel is to recognize and observe this day as a law, even as a holy convocation on this first day of the 7th month. That's up to 15 days to come. 14 more days. Because on the 15th day of this same month, it's a special day. That means, now here's what you didn't know. Here's what you did not know. From the first day to the 15th day plus 8 days, it's all preparing you for that one day of the 15th day of this month, which is called the Feast of Tabernacles. So this first day is preparing you for what's coming in 14 more days. Even the 10th day, if you have to come, you must be at one with us. See, the 10th day is getting you ready to become at one. Call it atonement. No, that's at one with us. And then after that fulfills 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 and verse 16. I'm going to go to that in a moment with a shout. Mm-hmm. You had no idea that that 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 and verse 16 was part of that. I'm going to explain it to you how. You might as well go and read that now. You might as well turn to it and read it. That way it's the foundation of what we're about to share and reveal and expose. You know, right? Read that, please. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 and verse 16.
1 Thessalonians chapter 4 verse 16, quote, "For the Lord Mem Yokaf Yorewabe himself shall descend."
What? Descend from the ship. Wow. And dwell on the earth for 71 years. 71 years in a vessel, a human anatomy vessel. Like a human form. And that's from October 27, 1935. And he would use a human form like a photograph that I have over me. Could you go to that and show them what he would look like? Well, I know we just started that verse, but right? He will come in a human form, as you see there, in black and white, over my head on the screen on the monitor now. Yehovah. That's who I am of and from. That's my of. And that's who I said just now, who gave you to me to play with. You're my toys. He said, what's thine is mine, what's mine is thine. So he created you, formed you, made you, caused you to come out of the womb, and he gave you to me so I can play with you and have fun with you while I'm on this planet. It's not good that man should be alone. So we made helpmates for him. Here you are. Mm-hmm. You keep my company. And I made a deal with you. You keep my company and I'll keep yours. That I would not leave you all together uncomforted. I'll be a comforter unto you. I will not leave you comfortless. It's true?
True.
Okay. Well, that's my he's known to some, he's known to more than some. He's known to a lot. He was even known to Lot as Yahweh ben Yahweh. Yahweh ben Yahweh. Yod Wafe, Beth Nosophe, Yod Wafe. Not realizing that that's two people, two individuals, the Father and the Son. And that's how you have it. You have it right now. You look at the screen, that's how you have it right now, because he's higher. He's higher than the Son. So you have the Father and the Son looking right at you in the face on the screen, and you didn't even know it. The Father's up above. The Son's sitting right down on the planet, in the chair. You don't need to pull a punch. I told you, we're not going to hide anything anymore. Why? This is the 7th day. This is the first day of the 7th month. We're not hiding no more, because now you got to get ready for the 15th day, because the end is coming. The gospel is preaching, and then the end shall come. You don't even know how yet. We're bringing about the end right now. Now go back and finish 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 16. Now that you know he descended down in that bodily form. All right? Finish that, please.
"For the Lord Yod-Heh-Wabe himself shall descend from heaven with a shout,
Good gracious, with a shout. Mm-hmm.
with the voice of the archangel,
And with the voice of the archangel. Uh-huh.
and with the trump of Elohim."
With the trump? Trump. Without the ET. See, the ET is for extraterrestrial. That's extraterrestrial. That's why the ET is not there, because the extraterrestrial, oh my goodness gracious. You can't see it. The extraterrestrial already descended down from the ship, as you just read. So since it already descended from the ship, you only left with the trump. Trump. Of the archangel. With a shout. Why shout? Because Sheen was left out. It's in the east. That's H. Sheen was left in the east. So now Sheen is left in the east. So now it's without Sheen. So now it's a shout. It's out. It's out. What else to say? Anything else?
"And the dead in Christ
That's what it's all of. shall do what?
Rise first.
The dead in Christ shall rise first. With a trump, this day, the first day of the 7th month, the dead must rise. First. Well, first. First day of the 7th month. First. And after that, you know what's going to happen? Then shall the end come. And so all Israel should be recognizing that. The trump. All of Israel is to recognize and observe this day as a law, even as a holy convocation. A holy convocation on this first day of the 7th month. Up to 15 days, the 15th day of this month. And 7 more days after that. After the 15th day, for a total of 8 days. And this revelation is part of those 5 letters that you think spells gospel. And yet, it's one of the 7 seals that was sealed by the Christ by the power of the elation. L-A-T-I-O-N, elation. That the Christ hid from the rulers of this world in order to shorten the days from their 365 days back to the 360 days, perfect days with perfect circle. Go back to Leviticus for a moment. Chapter 24. Did you read that yet?
No.
Okay. Go back to Leviticus chapter 24 for a moment. And I'm saying go back because we read it before, but not today. Oh, we did read it before. Isn't that true? Okay. So we read it before, and there's so much shortening that had to be done. And why is it that there are 51 days, actually 51 verses in Matthew 24? Why is that? Okay. Read verse, let's see. You're going to read start at verse 10. Actually, find the verse where it says, this whole chapter 23 is dealing with this gospel. Verse 16, wait a minute. No, I want chapter 23. Oh, I said 24? Okay. That's my... See, that's a part of what this gospel is. You're going to find in a minute. See, I said 24. I'm going to explain to you why I said 24, and I meant 23. It's all prophecy. I'm going to show you. It's right there. And that way, that's another indication to prove who I am. Everything that comes out of my mouth was predestined to happen today. Even by me saying 24, and I meant for you to go to 23. Because it's Matthew 24 we went to. Now we want to go to Leviticus 23. But there's a reason for that. And that was not an error. That was prophetical. It was right on time. So now you're in Leviticus 23? Okay. So look at verse 16. Actually, let's start from 15.
Leviticus chapter 23, verse 15.
Read that, please.
And ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that ye brought the sheaf of the wave offering. 7 Sabbaths shall be complete.
Wow, how about that? 7 Sabbaths. How many days you going to get out of that? Now read the next verse and see.
Even unto the morrow after the 7 Sabbaths shall ye number 50 days, and ye shall offer a new meat offering unto the Lord your head.
That's 50 days plus 1 day to offer the offering at sundown. You have 51. All right? 51 verses. There are 51 verses? No. They number 51 verses in Matthew 24, but there's only 50. Why? Because the first they don't count. That's when they sat. That's the introduction. The first verse of Matthew chapter 24 is the introduction. So we count 50 days from verse 2, 50 verses, and we have a gospel going on. That shall be preached in all the world. Don't forget, each chapter and book of this Bible was segmented, divided for a reason, even by their Masons, Freemasons, and lodges, right? Sororities, fraternities. So now we got 50 days that we remember it for a reason and for His gospel. Yet we still took 5 days away from them and went back to 360 perfect days of the circle. That's what we had to do in order to shorten those days that you read earlier in verse 22 of Matthew 24, right? For the elect's sake, Judah, who speaks English, for one witness to speak to them. Why? Because we put them in the 360 perfect circle. We got to bring Judah and put him back in that circle by the power of that O that's now seen as an O in the word gospel, after the G and before the S, as the O is a symbol of a closed environment that protects the elect from being destroyed by today's spiritual Cyrus of Babylon, known as, quote, President Biden, end quote. As mine, celestial soul, is now teaching in precepts by the power of their word known as trumpet. Spelled from left to right, spelled from left to right. Trumpet. And that's how I'm preaching to them, by the power of their word. Trumpet, that you thought was a musical instrument, or something to blow. I have no idea that it was already blown. How was it blown? Because they belong, I'm the owner. They belong to me. Beloved. B-E, love it, own, O-W-N, blown. That is now being blown by the power of Mem. See, that's being blown by the power of Mem, Pe, and the E. That's ended with Tav. So I know you're right, I'm taking a couple steps. I'm going to repeat that. Although it's been recorded, you can rewind it and say, wait a minute, hold on. Pause that for a minute, let me catch my breath. Good gracious. I know that's what I do. I'm just, let me repeat that. This trumpet, see their word known only as trumpet, T-R-U-M-P-E-T, is now being blown by the power of Mem, Pe, of the E, and of the Tav at the end, for the end. Did you hear it? I'm going to say it once more. The trumpet that you saw as trump in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, without the E-T, the extraterrestrial, is now being blown by the power of Mem, our 13 Hebrew alphabet, Pe, of the E, and the Tav at the end. That represents their end, the end. And then shall the end come. That's why it's at the end, Tav. For trumpet. How? How is that? By the significance of their English word that's known only as revelation. Revelation. That's why they put revelation at the end, at the back of the Bible. But how is that? Because revelation sealed the lation, L-A-T-I-O-N, that is empowered by Lamed in the beginning of their word memorial. M-E-M-O-R-I-A-L, that is real. Spelled R-I-A-L. Real. Memorial. 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 You thought it was memorial. They're spelled with the suffix real. That also supported the Ation, A-T-I-O-N, that was left as a memo, M-E-M-O, in my diary. Memo. The memo is real. The memorial, the memorial that was sealed and hidden in their 14th alphabet. The N. The N that was created from our and by our Nun. They created that word known as never, N-E-V-E-R, that was preserved to release the ever, A-V-E-R, that then created what the world, the whole world of those many, many theologians and clergies of the world thought were the Hebrew scrolls that I left behind, but that was my diary. Though they were the scrolls of my diary, in my diary they thought was revelation, R-E-V-E-L-A-T-I-O-N, that were also preserved to preach the knowledge of on and who, how their 5 days will become the 180 days, which is only of the total 360 days of our solar year, that is now subjected to the memo, this memo, M-E-M-O, that is real, R-E-A-R-I-A-L, R-E-A-L, of Israel, R-S-R-A-E-L, of the 12 nations to be preached to, that the Jews thought was a memorial, M-E-M-O-R-I-A-L, period. You dumb niggas. You fell right for the trap. What memorial? See, if that was true, T-R-U, without the E. See, T-R-U-M-P-E-T. No, if that was true, T-R-U, then who is it that we are having a memorial for and of, that we are to remember, that is permanently dead, niggas? Are you out of your mind? Are you insane? Who is permanently dead that we should be having a memorial for, a blowing of trumpets? The truth is, T-R-U-T-H, is the Christ who was truly born, truly, T-R-U-L-Y, you liar. The Christ who was truly born on the 15th day of the 7th month did not permanently die, but was resurrected by his Ab, which is Father in Hebrew, Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, to be here today to blow, B-L-O-W, the true T-R-U of the Mem, M-E-M, the pay to those from the E for East by the power of Tob that will bring to this world their end.
God, that's what it's all about.
That's what it's all of.
That's what it's all of.
And then shall the end come. Now read Matthew 24:14 again, G-I-N. Go to it and read that again. And I sealed it in my memo. I'm reading my memo, which is real. My memo is real, like Israel. The nation, all 12 nations of Israel. See, that's the witness speaking. That's the witness who speaks English.
Right, definitely.
The witness who speaks English left all this codex by their letters, and you heard my op say each letter is a word.
Exactly. What he said.
And then he made the word become flesh. He made the world flesh. He made the word become flesh. He made the world flesh. So a word, that witness could be here to explain to Judah who speak English what it is, what it means, so you don't be destroyed. for your sake. That's why you're invited to come. You can sit there in your house and sit wherever you sit and you can pick on me all you want to. You fool, you have no idea who I am. I'm your salvation. You don't even know it. I'm what they call in the Bible. The Christians even know there's a Savior. Even the Christians know there's a Savior coming. And I'm your Savior. You fool, you want to sit there. You think you can dispute with me. I don't even stoop down to your level to dispute. What is I disputing with you? See, if I have to dispute with you, that means I'm not sure of myself. If I ever have to tangle with somebody in words or wrestle with them, I'm not even sure who I am then. And I got a doubt. I got to look in the mirror and say, who are you? I'm in doubt of who you are. I don't have to prove to anyone who I am. I'm not. This gospel is not to be preached to prove who I am. This gospel is to bring about the end of the world. That's what this is for. In my memo, that starts today, to the 15th day that you should come to the tabernacle, who is a man. Read that, please.
Matthew chapter 24, verse 14.
Yes.
Quote, "And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations.
12.
And then shall the end come."
You got it? And then what? Read it. And then the last sentence.
And then shall the end come.
And that end was hidden in their word known as trumpet. You didn't even know it. Trumpet. The first and the last sound. The trumpet, the first and the last sound of trumpet, which was reserved by our 9th Hebrew alphabet, the 10th. See, that end was hidden in their word trumpet as the first and the last sound, which is preserved in our 9th Hebrew alphabet, the 10th, as in September dines. That signifies their 9th month, September. In our last Hebrew alphabet, that is Tav. That's how spelled. And how the trumpet is spelled with T and T. T in the beginning, T at the end. That's all they know. But that's our Teth and Tav. Tav is the end. See, Tav signifies the end when the trumpet blows to fulfill the last part of Matthew 24:14. That says, read it one more time. That says what? Read it again.
Quote, "And this gospel of the kingdom."
The last sentence.
And then shall the end come.
That's what I want. I want the end to come. All of this was hidden in the foundation of the suffix Asian. A-T-I-O-N. And you see that, don't you see it? You see Asian in that verse with an S on the end to being plural. Nation. Well, I'm looking for the Asian. A-T-I-O-N. Not Haitians from Haiti. The Asian. That is known by the Celestial Lodge as the motion of a celestial object that travels from one place to another, and yet it stayed in one place for 5 extra days. It already stayed for 5 extra days. Why? To become a local motion that was predestined to be performed in a particular city where the elect was prophesied to be gathered by Shiloh in the last days, or they will not be saved. No flesh should be saved, just as pre-told by Yehuda Yahweh, over 3,700 years ago. And that's also in a book called Yehuda. They call it the Bible Jude. And yet, that's the same Jude as the 4th son of Israel that he put there to bring back, at the memory. See, or did you know that Jude was preserved for the end of this gospel? And then shall the end come. See, the end also represents a book that would be at the end for me to go back to bring back to your remembrance. And you know, it's Jude over 3,700 years ago. That's why I go tell Judah what's going to happen to him when Shiloh comes. Jude is actually the last book of the Bible. They just put Revelation at the end. See, Revelation is not the back of the Bible, it's at the end. That you don't read no more. But Jude actually brings about the end of the New Testament. Revelation is just at the end of that. They call it the back. Why? Because I got to bring it back. I got to bring back to your remembrance from Jude over 3,700 years ago. I told them, gather yourselves and tell each one of your sons what's going to be falling in the last days. Now here we are at Jude. Yeah, it's just, I mean, according to the mouth of his father, known as Yaakov, and according to the King James Version book called Genesis in the beginning, chapter 49 and verse 10, where it says, shall be gathered of all the people, and shall the gathered of people be by Shiloh. Thereby, this A next to their word witness in Matthew 24:14 would preach this gospel that Judah would speak. See, Judah would speak today. Jude. Yehuda. So this A witness would also be here today to be able to speak to the very same idiom and speak the very same idiom that Judah, Yehuda, Jude will be speaking as he blows the trumpet, Trumpet, just as promised in the book called Isaiah, chapter 28. And the only way you can comprehend this or understand this trumpet being blown is for Judah, is for the speakers witness speak the same language as Judah. That means this witness must be able to say wail over there too. And bathroom and get off the floor and close the door. Right, and go to the stove and go to the stove. For me, I'm going to the stove. Yeah, and remember? Yeah, I remember. You remember? I remember. Then explain it. Explain it to me. Explain it. Right? And every, like Everett. Not every, but Everett. Every time I go to a man's house, he got something to say. See, something. He got something to say. Something. What in the world is a something? What's a something? Is that like a submarine or something? Is that something you eat? What's a something? Sandwich? Oh, sandwich. No, that ain't right either, because it's a sandwich. A peanut butter and jelly sandwich. See, you got to speak like that for Judah to understand. See, understand. You got to understand is the word underwear. What underwear? What's the underwear? You have any underwear? What underwear? Underwear. Where you going? Wail over there. I seen it. What you seen? You seen it? Yeah. I seen it way over there. I seen it way over there. You seen what? What you cleaned? I cleaned the stove. How you cleaned the stove? How you cleaned a stove? I cleaned the stove last night. Goodness, last night? Yeah, last night. I cleaned it. I cleaned it good, too. No roaches was on it. I ain't leave the roaches nothing to eat. Nothing to eat. Nothing. What in the world? What in the world is nothing? What's a nothing? I mean, nuts that you put in the tin? You keep pecans in the tin. Okay, nothing, nut tin. Good gracious, Judah. That's Isaiah 28. Look at verse 9. Read it so you can see. Tell Judah what happened today. Start at chapter 28, Isaiah chapter 20. Start at verse 9, please. Good gracious. That's for the first witness. Here's two. Now the other witness speaks Hebrew. The other witness Hebrew. Avinu Shabbat. And he even teach them, it's not Wav, it's Wab. It's not Tav, it's Tab. Ain't no V. It's Ab Benu Shabbat Shemayim. Yikadeh Shemayaka. Right? Shalom. Yeah, Shalom. Huh? Tov. Book of Tov. It ain't Tov. Book of Tov. Okay, go ahead.
Isaiah 28:9. Quote, whom shall he teach knowledge?
That's the question. He would teach those who speak English, who don't know. What?
And whom shall he make to comprehend doctrine?
Those that spoke Hebrew, they don't speak it today. They speak English broken. They don't even speak English. They speak English Creole. So I got to teach them knowledge and teach them and to make them comprehend and understand the doctrine in English Creole. Whom would they be?
Them that are weaned from the milk
That's who. And what?
and drawn from the breast.
Drawn from the breast of a statue of liberty, the woman of America that taught her how to speak, taught them how to speak that stupid language, that idiom. And how much it done in verse 10? How much it will be done? How should it be done?
For precept must be upon precept.
That's how. And what else?
Precept upon
That's
precept.
double. I mean, every time. Don't deviate from that. And what?
Line upon line.
Each line upon what's been written. And written as a document kept on record. Each line, even your Bible, got to go over it line upon line. If you don't understand it, we'll go back to it. Now read it again. Okay, you got it? No? Okay, read it again. Now go to the next line upon line. And I can't give it to you all at one time. There's 12 parts. I got to stop at one part, and I'll see you tomorrow and give you another part. Right? That's what?
Line upon line. Here a little and there a little.
Part by part. Here's chapter 1, chapter 2, and every day a different part. And how will I do it? Read verse 11.
For with stammering lips
Uh-huh.
and another tongue will
Uh-huh.
he speak to this
He
people.
will speak to this people with a, that's a wonder witness. This people is Judah, and they speak the same way. Have you not noticed that? That's why I just said turn to Leviticus chapter 24. Didn't mean that. I meant 23. That's stammering lips. And sometimes these very same stammering lips may try and pronounce one or a few of their words in English and cannot do it. I got to go. Wait. How you pronounce that? Their word. But finds it very difficult to do in their tongue. Their words. Some of their words. Why? Because it is another tongue. Just like it says in verse 11. I mean, sometimes I may even say a number, and that's not what I mean, but that's the tongue. I didn't mean to say 13. I meant to say the 15th day, or number 3, not the 3rd day, the 15th day, or the 17th day. I don't know. See, those are English numbers. In my mind, I know what I want to say, but I got to relate to their numbers. It don't mean nothing. They don't. They do not. They don't mean nothing. But I'm sure you know what I mean when I say it. In the idiom that you speak today, English Creole. And this is why I took our symbol. You heard it? This is why I took our symbol, the O of the gospel, that is hidden in gospel, that word Gospel. As the G stands for great, the O for omnipotent, the S for supreme and spiritual supreme, the P for power, and the E for everlasting. Even as we took the E and the L and juxtaposed those side by side to create El, which is the abbreviation for Elohim, which is God in Hebrew, whose ineffable name is from right to left. 3 Hebrew characters, one position twice. Yod, He, Wav, He. Right? Yod, He, Wav, He. From right to left. Yod, He, Wav, He. That's how you know it. Now go back and read Leviticus 23, 24, excuse me. Read Leviticus 23, 24. And say what?
Leviticus 23:24,
Mhm.
quote, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, In the 7th month, in the 1st day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets, and holy convocation.
Right. Did you see it? See, this is what the Bible says, King James Version. I have yet to see in this 1611 edition, 1611, King James Version Bible, the memorial blowing of trumpets. I have not seen the memorial blowing of trumpets. So where do they get that from? I hear them say the memorial blowing of trumpets. That's what it just says that. The memorial blowing of trumpets. I don't see that here. I don't even see the. I see a. I see a memorial of blowing of trumpets. That's what I see. And why trumpets? Because, in plural, because there are two witnesses. That's what I see. In other words, this is a apex, acute, the first, acute memorial, memorial, from left to right, memorial, that's found to be in English, though it came from the original Hebrew word known as Zechariah, spelled from right to left. Zion, Kaf, Resh, Wab, Nusofi. Zechariah. And you know what it means? Here's what it means. It means to remember, to recall, call to mind, to bring back to your remembrance, to be brought to remembrance, to cause to remember, to remind, to keep in remembrance, to mention, to record, as we're recording right now, and to make a memorial of. Reference to Strong's H 2142. Your Strong's Concordance. I don't know if you go there, you'll see it. Strong's H 2142. And you're going to find Zechariah and Paul with Kaf right there. And Wah. You see it?
Okay.
That's what it means. You got the meaning? You got the meaning, right? Okay, now, what do you remember? I asked you earlier, remember? You remember? You remember. What do you remember? What do you remember that happened over 2,023 years ago? Or even 2021? This is 2021. So what do you remember that happened 21 years ago? Anything? No. No, I mean, no matter how hard you try. Let me see what I can remember. No, I cannot. I can't come up with anything. And that's why John chapter 14 verse 26 was left as a record. It was left as a record. It records that. You cannot remember. So turn to that, John chapter 14. And I'm going to read that since you couldn't remember me saying it in Hebrew. So since you could remember me saying it in Hebrew, that's why you can't remember, because your Hebrew mind is lost. If you could speak fluent Hebrew as you came out of the womb, then you wouldn't forget. But now that you cannot remember, the witness who speaks English got to come and remind you. John chapter 14, I'm going to start at verse 25. Where the record was left. See, record that you found in Zechariah, right? Okay. See, these things have I spoken unto you, being yet present with you. Being yet present with you. What things? Everything that was spoken from verse 1 to 24 was spoken. And you can read that on your own, do your own study. And everything that you will read from verse 1 to 24, those things I have spoken to you, being yet present with you. But the Comforter, which is the Holy Ghost, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father, the Ab, will send in my name. That means it was me speaking from verse 1 to 24. Because then it was referred to the Father who would send someone in my name. He would bear the same name as I had then. I would have it again today. The same name that belongs to the Father. He shall teach you all things, even what trumpet means in English, and bring all things to your remembrance. Bring what, say it, bring what? All things to your remembrance. Then why can ye not remember me? Why? Why can ye not remember me? You can definitely not. Why can ye remember me? That is of Mem. Mem of the O. That is also of the real, R-I-A-L. As the I, lowercase I, placed instead of the E. Opposed to R-E-A-L is R-I-A-L instead of the E. Why instead of the E? Because the E was left in the east, which is now blowing in the E, where the west is here right now. Wow, that's where the trumpet is. So who is the I? The I is also the trumpet. As I, who is now standing here in the west, but still in the southeast. And this is part of that remembrance that ye should know of what that I just read. That whatsoever I have said unto you, that you should remember. In verse 26. The rest of 26. Whatsoever I have said unto you. Now go to Jude chapter 1. Oh, there's only one chapter. Go to Jude, the last book. Go to Jude. What they call Jude, that's Yehuda. That's Yehuda. Yeah, Jude. That means, seeing all of this to be fulfilled, Jude must be here today. All have to be here today. If not, then we got to go. Remember I said we got to go in the wrong place. We got to go. I have to read that too. I'm going to start at verse 3. Beloved, when I gave all diligence to write unto you of the common salvation, it was needful for me to write unto you, and exhort you that ye should earnestly contend for the faith which was once delivered unto the saints. For there are certain men crept in unawares, who were before of old ordained to this condemnation, ungodly men. And you see them, even on Facebook, social media, where we are now. Who? Men, ungodly men, turning the grace of our God, our Elohim Yodewalfe, unto lasciviousness. Lasciviousness, huh? And denying the only Lord God, Yodewalfe, and our Savior, Mem Yod Kaf Yodewalfe, his Christ. In verse 5, I will therefore put you in remembrance, though ye once knew this. How? That Kima, the Lord, Kima, Elohim, having saved the people out of the land of Egypt, afterward destroyed them that believed not. It's going to happen again. See, what I am bringing back to your remembrance is what? How the world would be destroyed at the end again. I'm also bringing back to your remembrance the trumpet, the T-R-U-M-P-E-T, as you know it. That is another hieroglyphic of the true T-R-U and the M-P-E-T. You got it? The T-R-U, the true, the T-R-U, and the M-P-E-T. How is that? Because the true, the T-R-U, is a prefix. There's no such thing as a trumpet. I left that to be transliterated to bring about a hieroglyphic of what it truly means today and what I'm doing with the gospel. It's all hidden in the gospel. The true gospel, the TRU. True. Not and the truth. The TRU with the E left in the east, and the TRU-TH that's here now with the. And the what? What's left? The suffix. The TRU is a prefix. The MPET is the suffix. You got prefix, suffix. Why the suffix? So you won't have to suffer. And what? In English? That stands for what? Write it down. Here's what the MPET stands for. Measurement. The M is for measurement. That way you can be sure that it's meant to be. See, here I am. Here me. Here me is the A. Me is the A. See, write down measurement as you know it. MEASUREMENT. Measurement. As I measure. See, I measure. I got a pair of balances in my hand. I'm measuring. Even with Revelation chapter 11, verse 1. Measure the temple. Measure those that come in. Right? Okay, so you got measurement. You got it? Okay, you got ME. That's me. Me is also the A of the witness. A witness. That is what? Sure. Making wise and simple. Sure. The testimony of your wife is sure. Making wise and simple. The law is perfect. Right? Sure. There's what? Meant to be. MENT. Meant. Right there. Meant. Of what? The government. The government what? The government of Uniwafe of the Such Lodge. That's measurement. That's the M. The P is of. The P is the performance. You got it? The performance. The per. P-E-R, the per, that you be here to be. Be here. Per. For who? For who? Man. For man to what? The C. S-E. I would C-E. Performance. You think of performance. It's per, for here. P is for here. For the man, for you to see. Performance. That's the P. Of what? The E, evolutionary. The E is for evolutionary. You got M, P, here's the E, evolutionary. You got it? EVOLUTIONARY. The evolutionary. What was the T for? The T is for the tool. And the tool is your mind. T-O-O-L. The tool is your mind. That's the T with the double O and the L at the end. The O double O in the middle is the 8 that you stand up. Right in the middle is you find your R. Infinity. The T at the beginning of the trumpet, the O in the middle, the double O in the middle, and the L at the end is the Elohim, the gods. Because ye are all gods, the tool of your mind. M-P-E-T. And when you put them together, and this all together spells their trumpet. T-R-U-M-P-E-T in English. You thought it was trumpet. That's now being fulfilled as is being performed at this particular city, which is the very same city and place where Uniwafe chose to place his name in that local motion in this city. So therefore, that 5-day period was destined and predestined and designed for us to stand still during a 5-day period as that particular celestial object will continue to travel from one day place to another day place. To and fro. Now turn to Daniel chapter 12. Read verse 2. Because that's the 5th day place. We went from 1 to 5. Extra days.
Daniel chapter 12, verse 2.
Yeah, read that, please.
Quote, and many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt.
Right. End quote. All right. Now read verse 3.
And they
now you got it. Verse 2 is they got to wake. They're gonna, and some they're still sleeping, but when they wake, some are gonna wake to everlasting shame and contempt. Now read verse 3.
And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament.
Yes.
And they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever.
Got that? All right. Now read verse 4.
But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book,
Till when?
even to the time of the end.
You didn't know which end that was. See, you did not know which end that was. But at that end, what's going to happen in the 5 days that this local motion and continue will do what?
Many shall run to and fro.
Right. To and fro. From Genesis to Revelation. And then what's going to happen when they do that?
And knowledge shall be increased.
That's the only way for knowledge to be increased. And that now creates the 7 angels, the 7 spirits that came out of a womb in the 7th month. And the 15th day of the 7th month, they released a spectrum of light that's now in the tabernacles of Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, who is a man.
Okay.
According to Revelation chapter 21 and verse 3, as in the 3rd day. And that's why you heard my at the end of that editorial program, in the auditorium, he chuckled. He chuckled. I shall rise on the 3rd day, no doubt about it. And he gave a chapter in Luke, tells you that. And he chuckled. That just brings joy and laughter to my heart to know that finally I have those of you that love peace. And I only want to bring the presence of those of you that love peace. Because when that happens in the 3rd day, you will know who peace is. A man. To fulfill Micah chapter 5, verse 5. The tabernacles for 8 days. With that said, let us continue and conclude with this gospel that's titled, I quote, by capital B, lowercase I, in parentheses, the second beast of the, close parentheses, den, capital D, lowercase en, den. You remove those 5 letters that was there for all 5 days, and you got by den. And this is part 12 and the conclusion. And now, as we revealed in Detroit in part 11, he, Mr. Joe Biden, is also being revealed in this testimonial book as the second beast of the dead. And we came to that revelation by reading the King James Version book called Revelation in chapter 6 and verse 3. So turn to that. Revelation chapter 6 and verse 3. So let's read that again. The gospel. A for a witness. Gin, G-I-N. There's also a book called Isaiah. And what does that say?
Revelation chapter 6 verse 3, quote, and when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, come and see.
Now we know now that second beast read of a second beast. There was a second beast who read of a second beast. What? How can a second beast read of the second beast? Because the first beast is celestial. A man, a living being that's hidden under the beast, B-E-A-S-T. That means the sun from the east. And the second beast read of a second beast and said, come and see. As you open the second seal. You got it? You comprehend that? Yeah. Remember, it's precept upon precept. All right. Because that same beast is in Revelation chapter 13. There are 2 beasts in Revelation chapter 13 too, the same 2. Now, with that reiteration and by the power of another precept, please let me explain this prophetic cryptogram to ye as follows, so pay attention. This is the first witness, the English witness. Therefore, I can tell you in English that this English word that's known as second, spelled from left to right, S-E-C-O-N-D of this verse is also a synonym known as by. Capital B, lowercase I, by. And this synonym by, B-I, is defined in the Merriam-Webster's dictionary. That's why I say get your dictionaries. Now, in my Merriam-Webster's dictionary, it is defined as, and I'm quoting, a prefix. A prefix definition of by, B-I, entry, in parentheses, entry 2 of 4, close parentheses, number 1, A. 2, bilateral. Subsection B, coming or occurring every 2, like bicentennial. Subsection C, into 2 parts, like bisect. Now, number 2 of 4 is subsection A, twice. Doubly on both sides, like biconvex. Biconvex.
Okay.
Number 2, subsection B, coming or occurring 2 times, as in biannual, or compare as in semi. Number 3 of 4 is between, involving, or affecting 2. Specified symmetrical parts, like symmetrical parts, as in bilabial. See the stammering lips? And number 4 of 4 definition is 1 subsection A, containing 1 specified constituent in double that proportion of the other constituent, or in double the ordinary proportion, as in bicarbonate. End quote. That's Merriam-Webster's from that dictionary. In other words, here is wisdom. As we conclude, the first U.S. president after May 7, 2007 was number 1, Barack Hussein Obama II. And the second U.S. president after May 2nd, May 7, 2007 was number 2, quote, Donald John Trump Sr., end quote. And finally, the third United States president after May 7, 2007 is the presiding president, quote, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., end quote. Now, here is more wisdom. The third United States president is also the second beast of Revelation chapter 6 and verse 3. The second. And with that said, you got it? Now, all of this, when you put all this together with the first 11 chapters of this gospel, now you know who that by is of the dead.
Okay.
By the second beast of the dead. So now you got to put all the parts together. And when you do it, all the study that we helped you with, then you'll know what's going on today and why he wants you to take this vaccine shot. And why they're making a law that's come out of Revelation chapter 13. Because as many as that will not worship the beast or his image should be killed. Turn to that before we leave. Go to Revelation chapter 13. I believe it's going to be somewhere around verse 11 or 12. It's all prophetical. There's no way to get around this. You cannot get over it, it's too high. You can't get around it, it's too wide. And you can't get under it because it's too low. Revelation chapter 13. Read verse 12.
Revelation chapter 13, verse 12, quote, and he exercised all the power of the first beast before him.
Right. And what?
And caused it the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast.
Who started this vaccine shot before he left office?
Whose deadly wound was healed.
How is that? The deadly wound was being, what do they call? What they want to impeach. Impeach him twice. But he was healed. Impeachment, right? Healed. He wasn't removed from office. And then what? Verse 13.
And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men.
How's that? He ended the war, Afghanistan. And then what? Verse 14. This now you know this is two witnesses.
Okay.
This goes both ways,
Right.
English and Hebrew. I'm giving you the English now. I gave you the Hebrew before the interpretation. The other Hebrew, the Hebrew worship the first beast. It resembles the first beast, the son from the east, who did the same thing. See, the son deceived too. He deceived a lot by the means of those miracles. Go ahead, read that, please.
And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles.
By telling you got to take that vaccine shot. Do it now. You see, you getting upset. Do it now. We're gonna protect the vaccinated from the unvaccinated. I'm gonna tell all employers, if you got over 100 employees, make it mandatory. If not, show you a negative sign every week. Do it now. As if he cares. And yet he's not wearing a mask. Read it, please.
Which he had power to do in the sight of the beast.
Yes. Yes. And say what?
Saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast,
The vaccine shot. Mm-hmm.
which had the wound by a sword, and did live.
Which is a lie. Because it still kills you. The sword here is the pandemic. What they call the coronavirus. That's a sword. It makes you think that you take a shot and you live. And what?
And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast,
Of his position. Uh-huh.
that the image of the beast should both speak.
There's two doctors that are speaking of this right now from CDC. One CDC, one Anthony, and one whatever the name is, Rochelle or whatever it is. That what?
And cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast
Should be what?
should be killed.
Right. And so he do what in verse 16?
And he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond,
Because it's free. You don't have to have money to pay for the vaccine shot. To do what?
to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead.
Yeah, the shot, right? Or the card, the letter in your forehead. You got to have something to show that you have the shot, or you don't, or you got a negative result. That what? Verse 17.
And that no man might buy or sell, save he that hath the mark.
You will have no employment, no work. Fire him, get rid of him. Or what?
Or the name of the beast.
Cipher. Or Pfizer, excuse me, Pfizer. Or Johnson & Johnson. Or what?
Or the number of his name.
Okay. Right. Now go to 18. Says, in this chapters, this gospel I revealed in 666 with the ribs between the teeth. Read it.
Here is wisdom.
Period. See, here is wisdom. Period. What?
Let him that have understanding
By the precepts of the stammering lips, stammering tongue. Say what?
count the number of the beast.
I gave it to you during these 12 chapters. Why?
For it is the number of a man.
Our man, Joseph Biden Jr. With the ribs, with the 666 between his teeth. The 999, 6 turned upside down. That's his date of birth and his age. His height. The date of birth, the 9th month, the 9th day of the month, and 6 feet high. It's the number of a man. But in what?
And his number is 666.
666. That's the second half of the Revelation. That's the English version. I gave you the Hebrew version. No one knew that because it was sealed. And with that said, and I close this testimonial book, Mind Face, occurred Mind Face that they saw, everyone was recorded on video. As I now say to all of ye, you, and why you? Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh is, Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, the photo image that you see over my head. Right?
Okay.
You should see it over my head. Him, Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, Yahweh, is the mighty God of the Hebrews. Your reference for this, your reference, the King James Version for your notes, Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6. He is the mighty God, Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh. He is also the omnipotent of the O, celestial soul, who came to us in the terrestrial flesh, as you see over my head, of a human being. And he dwelt amongst us for 72 years in total, not 71. You have to count that baby in the womb is breathing. Is breathing inside of the womb. For 72 years. And that is from her conception, from the conception of Pearl. And started breathing. That is from 1935, as he came out on October 27th of that year, to Monday, May 7th, 2007, when he ascended back up into himself, into heaven. And during his visit of 72 years on this planet, Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, Yahweh, Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, raised up his son as he said he would. First, he raised him from the grave. And then, by his divine seven spirits of the seven angels, just as promised as he promised that he would do, so that it was written in the volume of the 66 books of the King James Version Bible, and that is from Genesis chapter 1 and verse 1 all the way to Revelation chapter 22 and verse 21. And my celestial soul, mine celestial soul, is also back here on this planet today, in the vessel of another terrestrial body that we took from another person, another being, to fulfill 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 and verse 16, as we read earlier. And now it's time for you to be caught up in the air with us, together with us. And we took that body from an already existing embryo that was floating in the womb of a Bahamian woman of Judah. This may sound scientifically unbelievable to some, but we took that embryo. I took it from that womb of Judah that was born and raised on an island. This woman, not the son, the woman was born and raised on an island in the Bahamas called Nassau. Although the child came out in 1954. Reference 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 38. And Isaiah chapter 49 and verse 1 and 2. And I came back with Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, just as read 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 verses 16 and 17. And mine celestial Hebrew name is from right to left. 7 Hebrew positions. Came out of 5 Hebrew characters, 2 positioned twice. And they are from right to left. Mem, Yod, Kaf, Yod, He, Wav, He. 7 angels, 7 positions. Each one has a plague that is now being deployed on this planet. Together in English they spell Mika Yahweh. Mem, Yod, Kaf, Yod, Wav, He. Mika Yahweh. And my celestial name, it means, if you haven't figured out by now, here's what it means. It means who is like Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, Yahweh, and there's only one. And with that said, I thank you. I say Torah today for your attention during your reading with us and study with us, as we presented to the 12 tribes only, the 12 tribes of Israel, that nation, that we came to you from, and we revealed in that book called Genesis in chapter 49 and verses 1 to verse 28. And we did all 12. Even as those we didn't mention, they were part of it. All 12. They were there. So with that said, again, Torah for joining us today. And if it's my God's will, then we may do it again sometime in the future. But this is a memorial of blowing of trumpets. And now you know what that means. Hidden. So with that said, Torah. Again, don't forget, your Ab, Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, who art in heaven, he ahabs you. He loves you, Judah. And so do I. Your servant here on earth with you, on this planet. I say Anoki Ahab. Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem.
Actually, Shabbat Shalom Aleichem.
Shabbat Shalom Aleichem.
Praise Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh.
Praise your barbary.